Do you know that all those people, we went back? Do you know what our lecturer told us afterwards? This is exactly what the voice said. You guys are all fools. Never in your life will you make a protest like that and not follow through to the end. You people should have stayed out, even if they wrote that exam. He said now you people should prepare for carryover. And guess what?
Everybody.
Like
majority carried over.
Almost 90% of the class carried over that course. The people that escaped with D, we were the lucky ones. A course that I would have easily gotten an A because I love practicals. Let me take Suleiman from Bauchi. You're live.
Yes, good evening.
Hi, Suleiman.
Fine, thank you very much. I like your topic. I just want to ask a question. If I'm a politician and I came and promised you people that if for me to build a hospital, I have to increase your tax so that I can build that hospital. Or, for example, now in Nigeria, I think I will do subsidy on petroleum. Will you vote for me?
Sorry, I can't hear what you're saying, Suleiman. It's a bit muffled. What did you say? If you did what?
I said, if as a politician I came and I told you the truth, that this is what I'm going to do, and it's going to lead to increasing the tax and removing subsidy, do you think anybody will vote for me?
Lie. Okay, thank you,
Hello?
Suleiman. Thank you. We're having issues hearing him. Is that why he has to lie? So if they say the truth, nobody would vote for them. Let's take more comments. So, that story I'm trying to land on is what we had said earlier. Until we get to that point where we say it's not our problem. You see what Diva was saying? Like this, your what's it called? They just all of a sudden somebody just increases electricity bill.
Yeah.
Nobody, because I can afford it.
You be quiet.
Everybody goes quiet.
Let me go and pay my own and go. Me, I can afford it.
That was exactly
Nobody
what happened.
feels and thinks of the next
collective.
Yeah.
No collectivity there. Everybody wants to just be, I can afford it.
Me.
That's what he was saying now. You see pothole. Instead of you to go and try to solve that problem,
Do you know,
go and buy SUVs.
There was, where I used to live, there was a commissioner who lived on the street before my street. And it was ridiculous. He tarred right in front of, he or she, tarred right in front of
His house.
their apartment. And the rest of the road was in potholes. So every time I would drive by that, I'm about to enter my street, I would see it and I'm like, this is so ridiculous. How do you feel as in your mind?
And tomorrow you will still
feel
go
you
out and
are
vote for
just,
that person.
imagine that you decided to tar the street. Will it not be accounted to you to be like, oh, this person took that initiative to do something about a problem, an ongoing problem? And that's the situation we have even with our politicians. They will promise these things, but because it is not their own problem, and they cannot relate to the issues that fellow citizens are going with, it's just a card, it's just a scorecard to be able to get to, is an end game to be able to get to where I want to, which is the seat of power and have the level of influence that I want to have. And it's
sad. Let's take more comments.
It's very unfortunate.
Okay, so this is so good evening, my beautiful sisters of What Are You Saying Ways. What Nigerians should do to failed politicians and their promises is that they should not take them serious.
Absolutely.
We have suffered the same consequences, not only now, but in previous administration. The Indian man tagged us brainless. Though the word is deep, but it is the pain and the gospel truth. These politicians have sugar-coated mouth, and yet they know that they cannot deliver. I don't blame Sister Jennifer for saying that she does not want to say her mind. I know how she's feeling. We are sick and tired of hearing manifestos and at the end failed promises. Sister Uwa is right. It is only the Nigerian youth that can decide the change Nigeria for Nigerians. Sister Lera and Sister Norma, you are welcome back. We miss you. Thank you so much, Daniel.
Thank you so
Uncle
much,
Daniel.
Daniel.
This is how they call your sister.
Brother Daniel.
Tell us our name.
All right, so I have this one from Mr. Charles. He says, I'm happy this topic came up because it has been on my mind for many years now. We have to come up with a legal way of punishment for politicians that fail in their promises to the people. I personally think we need to start with the Nigerian constitution. We need a new constitution, trust me. Nigerians can never move forward with this current constitution. Please keep the good work you're doing up, ladies. Thank you, Mr. Charles.
Thank
and,
you.
I just wanted to say, just to piggyback off what Charles was saying, I think in addition, I think a massive educative campaign needs to come up.
Yeah.
I'm not talking about, you people don't need to go to school to know what is going on in their government. They know what their needs are. In America, for example, you have a lot of people who don't go to schools.
But they know
what the Constitution
rights,
says.
They
know what their right says. It's when you make two statements, the next thing they're telling you is, I know my rights. I know my rights. So nobody, even the police, have to be tactful in their dealing with them, because they know that if you tread beyond the law, that you're going to be answerable to that same law. The Constitution, like he mentioned, we're still hoping that an amendment comes forward. But I think a massive campaign needs to be put out. I don't know whether it's on media, things that roll out from time to time for people to know what is the job of the local government chairman, what is the role of the commissioner with education. We have some of our ministers who are also vying for position. They have left the fact that education sector is in quagmire, labor and all of that. Sensitive, key and strategic areas of government, they have left it to go and look for campaign. I think something needs to be done so that people...
Just like what that guy said, sorry for interrupting you, that he said that, Nigerians are used to the military regime, so it seems like we have not unlearned that, and now everybody's afraid to speak for something.
Something needs to be done so that Nigerians can know that they actually have power.
But make I speak up for pidgin English. If they bring bag of rice, use and stone them.
Stone.
You're not ready. You want to be suffering for the rest of your life. Let's start demanding good governance from our leaders. Thank you so much, ladies. Jennifer, I think we lost her, but thank you, Jennifer. Before we go, ensure you follow us on Instagram. It's at PlusTvAfrica. With also on Twitter, it's at PlusTvAfrica1. You can interact with us further, drop a comment, and more importantly, follow all our engagements on social media. Like, share, and invite your families and friends to watch and follow the conversation. This quote is very painful, but it's a painful truth. Say, what adjective can be used for a nation who is consistently fooled, recurrently deceived by crafty politicians? Is it goofy? Very light. Fool? Not enough. Say, brainless. Oh, deep gone. Yes, that is the very adjective. This is from Mamet Murat Indian. He's an Indian man. No? It's not me that said it. We'll see you guys live on tomorrow at 8 p.m. as we bring another great conversation to your screen. I thought today was Friday.
Today on The Breakfast, Senate amends Electoral Act to allow statutory delegates to vote at party congresses and conventions. What is the implication for the general election?
Also on The Breakfast, 18 registered political parties seek extension of deadline for conduct of primary elections to pick candidates for the 2023 elections.
And don't forget also, we will be looking through today's newspapers and analyzing the biggest stories of the day. Welcome to The Breakfast. It's good to have you join us. Good morning to you. My name is Justin Akadonye.
And I am Mercy Bokpo. It's good to have you join us this beautiful morning.
Yes, it is actually a Wednesday morning. I'm sure Mercy forgot today's
I
day.
know.
We're going to say Thursday.
No, I wasn't going to say Thursday.
Tuesday.
No,
What are
because
you
I'm
going
going
to say?
to be
Friday,
here.
Saturday, waiting for the weekend to come already.
Morning. No need to say whatever week of the day it is. It's just
Let's
a
see,
day.
one day we'll catch you. We'll catch you. You know what they say about the wind blowing and every other thing. I'm not going to go into the local parlance. Oh, glad to have you join us. Let's just slide on to what is trending. A whole lot is actually trending, but let's start with this one. Remember the presidential pardon? Well, it has actually not died after all, and a full list has been published or reviewed or posted, whatever word you want to describe it, and it has gotten a whole lot of Nigerians talking, and people are saying that murderers and hired criminals were actually given pardons.
So let's start on this particular note. Mm-hmm. Presidential pardon is a long-time practice. I mean, it's a practice that's been going on for a very long time. The right of pardon, if you want to say the prerogative of mercy, it's recognized under the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, 1999, as amended in 2011. And so if you also want to look at the sections that talk about it, Section 212, subsection 1, 175, subsection 1 and 2, gives power to the governors and, the president to actually, grant all of that. But I think that if we really need to look at this, because constitutionally is recognized, but usually you have the outcry when you find out that, those who have been granted pardon, why should they be granted pardon? We're talking about fraudsters, those who have been involved in money laundering, terrorists, bandits, what have you. Mm-hmm. But that's what the Constitution says. But this principle, because it's an ancient principle, it's a practice that's been going on for a very long time, you find that the ideology surrounding this is to temper mercy with justice. And that you can relate to. Yes, that's where it comes from. Justice with mercy. Okay, did I say it sounds like Justin and mercy. Okay, so temper
justice
with mercy. So I said temper mercy with justice. I think I'm too full of myself.
That's a good one.
Okay, but on a serious note, justice with mercy, that's the ideology surrounding this. And you can trace that back to William Shakespeare, okay? Proponent of all of that. But I know the reason why. The reason is very obvious. I mean, if you look at the list, you have people who are fraudulent people. They've done a lot. Look at that list.
Yeah, so a whole lot. The breach of trust, forgery. There are some people didn't spend up to even 3 years when they have like 14 years to spend.
But the money laundering, you also have some oil issue, conspiracy, several issues.
Bribery is
the list is endless, right? The list is actually endless. Mm-hmm. But the reason why you have Nigerians reacting, as always, because at the time, also, you remember when Jonathan granted that pardon, to Alan Messier, it also became
became very controversial.
I mean, it generated a lot of reactions across the board, and you had all of this. But unfortunately, the Constitution is the Constitution. And the fact that the Constitution has not been very explicit is quite worrisome. One is, if you say that the governor or the president, whoever is going to be exercising this right, should exercise it with a higher sense of responsibility. But how do you now, because I can never tell how responsible I would be with my decision and action. And that's where it comes. We have not been very explicit at what points, do we draw the line? Where do we now say, okay, there should be a stop? It shouldn't be. But over time, I don't think it has actually, especially in the space, in the Nigerian space, it hasn't been very palatable for us because you have civil society organization, Nigerians reacting every other time when you have a pardon. But the Constitution also states that there should be, the applicant, the convict should apply. Now, what's even funny is, I don't know if all these persons who made the lease applied at the same time. They have, there's supposed to be an application. So you apply for all of that, and then the president or the governor, whoever at this point in time, would have the right to, reconsider, reduce the sentence, not even consider it, reject it, and all of that. So, the list is almost endless because he's been given that power to do all of that. And at the end of the day, we're hoping that, discretion, like you have mentioned. But how do you now define all of that? So what if that's his prerogative? We understand all of the reactions that have been put out. Some people say the president has granted, pardon to criminal elements, and that's what.
But that's what
the practice.
They were actually sentenced. The fact is that for they to be granted this pardon, that means they actually have committed. The crime on one or the other, or maybe they have spent so much time awaiting trial. There's several reasons. Even the judge, the chief judge of the state, can actually, reduce sentences of, some inmates, some who have actually spent so longer time awaiting trial than, what they would have, the sentence that would have been passed on to them. For instance, let's say you did some crime and. Or maybe it has not even been proven yet, but you spent like 5 years and you're still awaiting trial for a case that could just be seen as some misdemeanor. By the end of the day, it is still the prerogative, that's the underlining word. They say the prerogative of the governor, the president, and to decide whoever they feel like, giving to. At the end of the day, it is their decision. The issue of discretion, the issue of fairness, equity, morality would always come to play.
Which is actually, so the bone of contention here, Nigerians need to understand that as much as they feel very pained, because the argument over time is that you have all of this pardon granted to political benefactors, and that's what it is. And I'm asking, if you have the Constitution saying they have to apply, did all of these persons on the list apply? Did they apply?
They did.
Do you have all of them applying? Did they apply at the same time? Or, it was over time and then you have at different times and then you have all of this. So that's number one. But how do you define discretion? Because discretion is discretion. How do you then now, define the fact that the president is, I don't want to use that word because it probably might just sound very disrespectful. But that's what the Constitution says. That's what the principle is. Expected that whoever would exercise this would be in his senses. He would actually be responsible. He would also be fair in all of this. But the reason why Nigerians are reacting is it feels like, those who have been granted this pardon are political benefactors.
Now, for instance, there's a name that actually stands out from the list. Someone who's supposed to serve 188 years. At the end of the day, he served 144. He spent 44 years, and eventually he was released. Look at the margin. He was supposed to spend 188 years. That's almost like life in prison. And he spent just 4 years, and he was, go home and sin no more.
Well, I don't know, but...
But then some issues that would come to mind would be, granting them pardon, what... justification, what are the yardsticks?
There's no justification. There's no
Is it they have changed over, turned over new leaves, or what exactly have they done with their lives?
The Constitution also stated that these persons would have been of good behavior and also would have met the time. So it's not that they would have probably have done the time. So it's possible that the president or the governor could grant that pardon when a certain person or convict had met the time.
Yes.
He could have, done it at the end of the time, or he probably would have been in the process. You have other option: reduce the sentence. Okay. Because the power has been given to you, you have the discretion to use it however you like. But how do we define discretion is the problem. Because Nigerians are reacting. And I know why they are reacting, because this power that you have, the power to grant pardon, the prerogative of mercy, that's been, it's on the constitutional right. is that the governor and the president hold this in public trust. So they're holding it in public trust. But the fact that they hold in public trust and they expect that whoever is going to be taking this decision should be in their right, should be in the interest of the public, and then, you know, should be in the right frame of mind, the decisions that will be taken, you know. But how do you even define all of that? So it's a lot.
Yes, it is a lot.
I don't think that because it's like, why are you crying? The Constitution has given the president, he says he has discretionary powers, he has to act. We're talking about administration of justice at this point in time. Also, same Constitution mentions, mentions the fact that you also need to, there's a section of the Constitution that talks about corruption. And the fact that you have fight against corruption. Okay. And that's why Nigerians are speaking and calling. So if you look at the people that have been granted this pardon, the tongues are wagging already. You have different reaction. How do you grant these persons pardon? But that's what it is. That's why you have that pardon. Fingers across. We're hoping that we get to a point where you have, governor or the president acting, and then you say, they are using the powers judiciously. But how do you define judiciously is the question.
All right. Let's move on now. The 2023 election, the momentum is actually, very, very, very active, and a whole lot of people, have indicated interest. A lot of people have paid 100 million naira specifically for the expression of interest and nomination for the presidency, for the All Progressives Congress. One of such people who actually, this is Adamu Garba, the second. He actually is withdrawing from the presidential race, and this time around, it's got Nigeria talking because from reports that we hear, 83 million, was actually, raised from online platform and of course from other sources from various Nigerians, and he actually has withdrawn. His intention, and it got Nigerians talking that why collect 83 million naira from people at the end of the day you see you're not wrong. But let me just read a bit of it. Adamu Garba has withdrawn from presidential race scheduled for next year, raising 83 million naira from Nigerians. Garba told reporters that even though he had withdrawn from the exercise, it won't be the end of his quest to govern Nigeria someday. Garba said that the 100 million naira for nomination forms of the ruling All Progressives Congress is exploitative and may not encourage good governance. But this development comes after a politician raised 83 million naira, although he had said that people would proof of payment or so, they should come via email, and then he will be refunding all of the money back.
Well, and as he took to Twitter to say, we, however, requested all those who donated online and who require a refund send an email with evidence of payment, to a certain email. I assure you of a complete refund upon requests. That has genuinely. So
a lot of people they say they will not believe until they have seen all the refunds made.
No, but that's so he's asking that if you require to refund, why would you be saying you require to refund?
The fact is that it's not even if you require it. I think
no, but that's what I'm saying. So you're not saying that it's
possible.
You're not even supposed to tell the people that
maybe some people might not want
the money.
Some people might not want their money back. But the thing is that
you donated the funds for a certain purpose. But it's just a lot for me because I have seen a lot of persons who are waking up to say they want to become a president. They want to become president in 2023, and so you find a lot of persons declaring, making intention known, especially in the APC. I mean, you need to see, especially with the governors, everyone is taking interest. You have, even the Senate president, you have a lot of persons saying, oh, we want to become president in 2023. But I'm asking, what exactly is going on here?
A whole lot.
If you look at the statistics, I mean, you need to understand your environment. You need to understand the politics that's being played. I mean, it's not game as usual. You have to become a flag bearer of the party. So you look at yourself. They should be able to tell themselves the truth. I mean, speak the truth, right? So do you stand a chance of becoming a flag bearer of the party? So why do you now get to involve the people to raise funds for you?
When the amount
Adamu Garba should have waited up until he becomes the flag bearer to ask Nigerians to send him money. So it's not that you at the party.
He should have I think say that again. He should have collected money after he's becomes a flag bearer.
Yes.
How would he have raised the 100 million?
No.
From himself, privately?
I don't know. He should find a way to raise it. He finds a way to raise it. So you're raising the money now when you don't even know. If you look at the persons who are competing, let's be realistic. Let's tell ourselves the truth. They should tell themselves the truth, not even me, because I'm not even in that system. But I'm saying you look at it, you should understand the dynamics and the game that's been played. You don't stand a chance of becoming the flag bearer. So why do you even engage in the first place? And then you're not trying to raise money.
That's one way to look at it. The fact again is that even people who would have contributed, what did he say to them? How did he convince them? He didn't force them to contribute. They have maybe most have contributed in their own volition. Maybe they believed in him, maybe they believed in his aspiration, and everyone has the right to dream, everyone has the right to have some sort of ambition. So maybe he spoke to some people and they believed in him and they feel that he can actually drive home, you know, their interest and all of that. At the end of the day, so they decided to support him. That's my own opinion, really.
Well, they decided to support him at this point. If you supported a project or a particular cause and it has failed, then it's important that you refund. I mean, saying that if you want to, why do you put that clause?
So the clause is
refund the money. Okay, if you're required to get the funds, just send the funds back to them, write to the bank and let them, you know, reverse the money, because I'm sure that everyone that made that transaction, there definitely will be a detailed bank account or something. So he should be writing to the bank and not come to tell the people, send their 1 kobo back to them.
That's if they want it.
No, they don't. You don't have to say that's if they want it. Send it back to them. Don't give them the condition that if they want it. They actually sent it for a purpose. The purpose has failed. So don't begin to say, oh, that's if they want it. Okay. Did he say that's if you want to support me?
No, it depends on, see, that's what I'm saying again. It still depends on who sent him the money.
Oh, Lord.
Anyway, let's just move away from that. I'm not trying to hold brief for any politician right now. Another thing that is also trending is the former president, Goodluck Jonathan. Remember yesterday, you know, I was not here to discuss that with you, but it was actually trending.
You were here, however.
Okay, I guess I was late a bit. You know, the president, rejected. He said it was an insult for the Northern group to have purchased the phone for him, that he was not actually in support of it. His media aide came out to, reject it. And another development, another twist to it right now. We were told that the Fulani group, Miyetti Allah and the Almajiris were the ones who bought the phone, but now there is another twist. Like I said, Miyetti Allah has come out to deny purchasing the phone for the former president, Goodluck Jonathan. I also read somewhere that said there were 2 governors involved in this particular drama, this particular issue, one from the northwestern part of the country and the other from the northeastern part of the country. But right now, Miyetti Allah, who we were told were in support or who were part of the purchase of this particular firm, has come out to debunk it.
So some people
will
will
say...
So
who bought firm for him?
It's me. I'm the one. I did it.
Mercy, you have 100 million, now come and give me 50 million.
No, you and I did it.
Mercy, if I had that
money, can't be in denial.
I'll go to Bahamas.
So you
on
and
a yacht cruise.
No, you and I actually contributed. So it brings us, to the same conversation, and very interesting, really, really interesting. But I don't understand, because you would always hear that for every particular story that you have, there's no fire without smoke, right?
No smoke without fire.
No smoke without fire. It feels like
why are you just inverting everything
No,
today?
that's what no smoke without fire. I don't get it. So it's not Miyetti Allah that did the purchase of the farm. The former president is pissed at the fact that he's been insulted by whoever did the purchase of the farm.
And he was also in quotes seen sleeping with the enemy. He actually
yes, because there was a picture. When you say the enemy, that's a very strong word.
No, it's actually, I said in quotes.
Okay.
Sleeping with the enemy. It's actually a movie, Julia Roberts.
Okay, so not the enemy.
Not the enemy.
There was a picture of him with the chairman of the.
Well, I mean the enemy. He's PDP and they are APC. That's what I meant.
I don't know, but you also have other quotas saying that
he's not been attending their meetings very well.
Apart from that, you also have the APC. There was a picture of him with the APC chairman. That picture is viral.
It went
So we
over
don't
just
understand.
shortly after
But it's
saying
also
that,
possible
he
that
felt
the chairman of
insulted.
the APC was trying to find out from him, did you really get this form? Or did you not get this form? Who got this form on your behalf? And all of that. It's quite dicey. It's a very sensitive conversation.
It is.
But if you follow the pulse of Nigerians in different parts and in different spaces, the conversation, the voice is still very one. Everyone is saying, we think that Goodluck Jonathan should take care of arrests. You know, just go home and relax. You did fantastic. And maybe he needs to listen to the voice of the people, because usually there's a statement that says the voice of the people is the voice of God. So if you have the same, in 2015, it's the same party that kicked you out for whatever reason. Some people were like, you should have followed. If you say the elections were rigged at that time, how come you actually gave in to it? Why didn't you follow through? I mean, why didn't we have, you know, appealing to the courts and what have you, litigations? But that didn't happen. And now you have the same party. So let's even say this is anything to come by. I mean, if it's truth right now, and if there's any element of truth with it, do you think he should, you know?
Because there's a whole lot to look at it. Because a lot of people, like over time, you have left of you lost to, or you conceded to the incumbent
You
president.
conceded.
Yeah, conceded.
That's the word.
Conceded to President Muhammad Buhari, and over time you've had to enjoy a whole lot of recognition because of what you've done. You've represented, you know, the continent and across various fora, and you have been recognized internationally. You know, but then it would look insulting. I don't know how it would look if you would now try to be friends with the same people who you actually seemingly lost to, and the same people that had accused your government of corruption and a whole lot of ineptitude. At the end of the day, you just seemingly just forgot about everything so fast, and you're just dining and whining with them. How does that really look?
No, because I mean, looking at the statement that was put out by his aide and what have you, media aide, it's like if he wanted to become president, or he has intention of becoming president in 2023, he would categorically state that he wants to become president. So we don't understand. But let's just even believe, because that's what it is. You have some elements in the system who are taking advantage of his personality for whatever reason. I mean, you have a lot of persons why they would choose, you know, Goodluck Jonathan to begin to play this politics. So what's going on is politics, and that's what we're being told. But fingers across, and Nigerians are saying it had better be the you know, it had better be in politicking, and this is politics, because we don't hope to wake up someday and hear that, you know, Goodluck Jonathan has decamped from the PDP and become the APC.
We didn't say a lot of this the last dispensation 1999, but this particular time
we're evolving.
Evolving dramatically. It's been so much of a drama one day or the other. You know, how many people, over 20 people contributed 100 million for the APC? I'm just saying. But we'll leave that at that, and we'll take a quick break, and we'll come back. We'll go straight to Off the Press in a moment. To join us again.
Life can be fun and rewarding, but it also comes with some risk. As in business, you win some, you lose some. And that's why you need to be wise in the choices you make. It's like placing a bet. Again, you need to be wise. Wise in choosing an innovative platform with the highest market options and highest odds ever. That's why Winners Golden Bet, the leader in online, in-shop, virtual, and live sports betting, gives you enhanced platforms that offer you the best chances of winning. For betting on live soccer matches, live dog races, and virtual games. Winners Golden Bet is your best bet. Instant payment of winnings guaranteed. Play online or in any of our numerous shops nearest to you.
Hey guys, be wise. Play on Winners Golden Bet.
Winners Golden Bet, the wise choice.
artist to blow in Nigeria.
Welcome to Plus Trending. I am Buki November, your host, saying thank you for joining us on today's episode.
Welcome back. It's tea time on PlusTvAfrica.
Practice makes perfect. I'm not perfect yet, but I'm a lot better than I used to be.
He's a king. He's entitled to marry 100 if he wants to.
It's still the breakfast on Plus TV Africa. We take you through the pages of our national dailies. We call it Off the Press. Tunde Kolawole, legal practitioner, is on standby via phone to be part of the conversation. Tunde Kolawole, it's good to have you join us this morning.
Good morning, thanks for having me.
All right, thank you so much. We look at the bold caption, APC PDP orders asks INEC to adjust 2023 election timetable. Senate will bring back federal government and ASU to negotiation table. Ahmed Lawan is quoted on that, urges students to avoid confrontation. Indeed. Insecurity in Southeast not targeted at headers, Meiti Allah. And just before we move away from the Daily Independent, you have Senate amend Electoral Act, makes elected official party delegate. 2023 presidency, if Jonathan runs, it will be wonder of the century. David Umahi is quoted on that. And PDP decides fate of presidential aspirant today. 35 people killed in Northeast in a decade. According to a report, 2.5 million people displaced. 2023 presidency, it's the turn of Southeast. Former President Olusegun Obasanjo and Adebanjo quoted on that. Nigeria to end 663 billion naira annual medical tourism. Threats to strike after expiration of 21-day ultimatum. These are the headlines you find on the Daily Independent newspaper this morning.
And away from that one, we'll move on to the Nation newspaper. Uncertainty in APC over Jonathan Emefiele Adesina. Adamu declines ex-president's proposal. CBN governor in dilemma. AFDB president mum. Submission forms closes. Why refineries are moribund by NNPC. TAM poorly done. That's turnaround maintenance. Electoral Act amendment widens primaries participants. A Navy arrests 117 suspected oil thieves, 6 vessels. More protests over ASU strike extension. Let's see if we can take more. INEC rejects party's request for adjournment or adjustment of polls timetable. Chidinma stabbed Atega several times, says witness. Oyo senator joins APC. Dollar scarcity pushes more transactions to parallel market. Those are all of the stories on the front page of the Nation newspaper.
Well, let's check out the leadership this morning. PDP NEC holds crucial meeting over zoning today. 19 days to party primaries. Senate amends Electoral Act. Makes president, governors, order statutory delegates. I take that again. Senate amends Electoral Act, makes presidents, governors, and others statutory delegates. Underneath, you find reps summon emergency plenary to carry out own exercise today. Act undergoes 3 amendments in 2 months. CS also insists on resignation of political appointees. INEC, IPAC disagree over extension of party primaries by 2 months. APC closes sale of forms. Mogalu picks ADC nomination form. These are the writers underneath the bold caption. And for 2023, Southwest, South, aspirants betraying Southeast. David Umai is quoted on that. Southwest, South, aspirants betraying Southeast. David Umai is quoted on that. And Nance give federal government and ASU 9 days to open varsity. Or what will happen? I'm sure that these are some of the questions. Fuel scarcity extends to northern states. May 29 handover is sacrosanct, says presidency. And Chidima confessed to drugging and stabbing and killing Tega, police tell court. The headlines on the leadership this morning.
And finally, we have the Guardian newspaper. The lead story, just below the pictorials there, 2023 PDP may dump zoning as neck meets over autumn report. Several stories also by the left and the right columns. TUC threatens action over ASU strike as COE, that's Colleges of Education workers, issue 21-day ultimatum. 18 political parties seek extension of deadline for primaries. INEC rejects plea, insists on June 3. Federal government gives occupants 30 days to vacate Lagos bridges. Sex scandal. Police arraign 4 Christian schools teachers. Bamishe BRT operation manager narrates how Ominikoron ran away. Other stories on The Guardian this morning, an editorial there are political parties and obscene money politics. PDP are running a distant third in Ekiti governorship polls, says a survey. Afenifere condemns Emefiele's involvement in politics, requests for restraining order. Pro-Silva Arewa group urges Northern presidential aspirants to step down. All right, tenure extension, I will hand over May 29 next year. Buhari replies, Clark. Call debunks Wike's $50 million fraud allegation. Dagogo faces fresh charges to take plea May the 16th. And Cross River PDP aspirants reject consensus. And those are all of the stories on the front page of the Guardian newspaper.
Tunde Kolawole, it's good to have you join us this morning.
Thank you.
All right, let's start with the Daily Independent newspaper. No, I beg your pardon. Let's start with the Guardian. It talks about 2023 and PDP dumping zoning as NEC meets over autumn's report. Now, we also know that zoning is part of the Constitution. I mean, the Constitution of the People's Democratic Party affirms zoning, but it feels like, PDP is moving away from the principle of zoning ahead of the 2023 elections. What are your thoughts?
Well, I honestly speaking, it wouldn't be in the best interest of the nation for any of these frontline political parties to dump zoning. If we want stability in this country, if we want an inclusive governance, if we want all the different regions, tribes, and sections of the country to have a sense of belonging, then the parties should keep to the gentlemanly agreement that they have entered with initiating the presidency and some of these other plum jobs between the North and the South. That is the way statement should behave. We should not allow personal ambition to override the overall interest of the country.
Tunde Kolawole, do we still have
Yes,
you? Okay.
Yes, I'm standing by.
All right, still on the Guardian, there are other stories making headlines, but let's just take one that is particular to Lagos. It is something actually disturbing. Well, federal government gives occupants 30 days to vacate Lagos bridges. It is still sad that in the year 2022, most Nigerians are still living under the bridge. How do you react, Barrister Kolawole?
Sorry, I didn't get that.
Okay, I'll take that again. Federal government gives occupants 30 days to vacate Lagos bridges.
that is, it will be difficult to enforce.
How so?
Thousands of Nigerians live under the bridge on a daily basis in Lagos and some of these other urban centers in Nigeria. Some of the people also end their living trading, hawking on those bridges. If you have had a chance to go to a place like Oshodi at night, to go to Marina at night, you will be shocked about the multitude of people that you will find sleeping under these bridges and trying their trade or trying to earn living under the bridge. Last Sunday too, I was at a Pen Cinema Agege area, and I also noticed that hundreds of people have also started sleeping and earning their living under the overhead bridge that has been constructed at Agege. It's a thing that we don't decree that people should vacate the place. Why are people occupying those places in the first instance? That is a question we should ask. I will want to say that most people reside in those places now simply because accommodation in Lagos has not only become very scarce, but it has also become very, very expensive. That most Nigerians, especially people coming from outside Lagos, cannot afford to comfortably rent a house and live in there in Lagos. Some people too will find it almost impossible to rent a shop or a space from where they can be plying their trade or selling whatever services and goods they might want to sell. So we should tackle the problem from the roots. It is not the best that people should sleep under the bridges, because you find out all sorts of crimes are being brewed from those places. You also see some young Nigerians, boys and girls, making babies and rearing them under those bridges. You also find out people living under those bridges trading all sorts of narcotics and drugs. So, if we as a nation, we want to take care of those people, ensure that some of these mischiefs that I've mentioned are taken care of, we must be looking at providing very cheap urban accommodation for the less privileged in the society. We should stop pulling down people's shops and spaces from where they are selling their goods and services by whims and caprices, simply because we want a scenic environment. The primary responsibility of government is not just to provide security, but also to provide means of livelihood for the Nigerian people. These are areas in which all the governments that we have had since 1999 have failed Nigerians woefully. So make a decree 1,000 times that people should vacate under those bridges. They should stop flying their face on top of the bridges. It is never likely to be effective, no matter how many arrests that you make on a daily basis.
All right, Tunde Kolawole, let's move away from that now. Looking at the Daily Independent newspaper, Senate is saying we will bring back the federal government and ASU on that negotiation table. But what difference will this make, or what difference can this make? 12 months, ASU is saying that, 3 months, I beg your pardon. Extending the strike by another 3 months. Now, and also, ASU is also asking that the students avoid confrontation. Would like to share your thoughts on this one.
Well, this strike has been going on for so long. If the Senate or the National Assembly were perceptive, if they were sensitive to the plight of the students and also that of their teachers, they would have intervened before the situation degenerated to this level. For me, this is coming rather too late. But it is better to be late than not to do anything at all. if they are able to come in and bring the ASU and the federal government to the negotiation table and they succeed, I think it is a plus for education in Nigeria. It will also be good news to the university teachers and their students. But I have my doubt that the proposal of the Senate will work if we take a cue from what the authorities or from what the federal government are saying. What the federal government is saying is that they don't have the resources to meet the demand of ASU. So if the resources are not there, and ASU is still insisting on those demands being met, the negotiation might not work out the way the Senate would have wanted it to work out. The other area is the fruit of the ASU is far deeper than we are seeing it. I have a suspicion that the ASU people have embarked on this bitter strike, principally because of the kind of jumbo salaries and allowances that the people in the National Assembly, that the Nigerian politicians are receiving. Because when you look at it, a university teacher who has taught a politician to earn a degree cannot earn 500,000 naira in a month, and the stupid or the student that is taught, if by adventure becomes a politician, he starts to earn millions of naira on a monthly basis. The ASU is probably considering that this is not equitable at all. So, I have always advised that this differential salary structure that we have brought to this country will lead to industrial unrest. I will prefer for anybody who works for any federal government institution, I would have preferred anybody who works for the state to earn salary from level 1 to level 17 as provided in the civil service structure. What should be different is maybe the peculiarity of the allowances that they will earn. The university professors, for example, will earn marking allowance, they could earn research allowance, they could earn wardrobe allowance, and some of these other auxiliary allowances. The doctors and nurses will earn hazard allowance, night allowance, and then some of these other allowances. And then we can take it like that. If we have a uniform salary structure, in which certain person, just by virtue of being politicians, who earn jumbo profit, jumbo salary, and the rest of the society is wondering after property.
Tunde Kolawole, the question here is, what difference do you think it would make with the Senate intervening in the issue of, this disagreement between ASU and the federal government? Would it yield any result? Would it change anything?
I doubt it. Just like I said, the federal government doesn't have the resources. Furthermore, we must realize that there is no facet of our life that is properly funded today. You go to the hospitals, they are in comatose structure. When you look at the infrastructure that are run down.
But the issue of ASU is not just limited to finances or funds. You also have an issue that some persons have described as a bone of contention. We're talking about the payment system.
The IPP and all that.
Yes.
What the IPP thing is a criminal project that ordinarily should not have been treated by the federal government. Why would you ask that all university professors, all university teachers to be put on the same payment platform like the ordinary civil servants? What I would expect is that this university should have its own payment platform, which is linked to the National University Commission. So if you want any information, you can access the payment platform of those universities to the university commission, or you go directly to the institution that is involved. That is the way things are. So you don't just lump everybody together. But today, the federal government has awarded a contract, which from information we are getting, has come to a foreign company. And that the server of that foreign company is not even domiciled in Nigeria. That is to say, we will be paying those who are running the servers for us in hard currency in foreign exchange. What is difficult in designing a payment platform that the Nigerian people cannot do, that the Nigerian computer scientists cannot do, that the university teachers cannot do, but somebody somewhere wants to award this contract so that he will be earning, no, he will be paying the company in hard currency and be taking his own kickback too in hard currency.
All right, Barrister
And even after he may have left government, he will still continue to earn money by virtue of giving that contract to the company involved.
All right, well noted, Barrister Kolawole. Yeah, so because of time, so we can actually cover much ground. Let us look at all the stories also making headlines. Let's stay on the Daily Independent. From what we understand, the PDP, the People's Democratic Party, is actually going to decide the fate of the aspirant for today. But in the news, in the Daily Independent, 2023 presidency, it's the turn of Southeast. Obasanjo and Mpa Adebanjo are quoted on that one. Would the PDP deciding fates today, how do you see it rolling? Do you see any preference given to the Southeast for the presidency in Nigeria?
If we are going to be equitable, we should give it to the Southeast. I agree with both of Obasanjo and Mr. Adebanjo. The Nigerian Civil War ended so many years ago. And if it has ended, there is no justification whatsoever not to have totally integrated the Southeast into the power equation in Nigeria. The agitation that we have in the Southeast today, in terms of maybe the activities of IPOP, in terms of the activities of NATO, and some of these other splinter groups, we will probably not have been there if we have done the needful a long time ago. So we still continue to discriminate two or one section of the country, continue to hold on to power, when in fact and indeed there are also qualified hands in the Southeast. So I will prefer that both the PDP and the APC consider this critical issue and consider the presidency to the Southeast. But I also want to appeal to IPOP, MAFOP, and some of these other self-determination groups to please keep their course, because as long as they continue to agitate that they want to break away from Nigeria, the rest of the country may not be comfortable giving the presidency or handing over the ruling of the country to them, because the fear will be that they might use it to achieve the objectives for which IPOP and NATO and some of these other groups have been campaigning for a long time ago. The NATO, the IPOP should adopt the Gandhi strategy, which is non-violence, to achieve their objectives. They have made their point, and the whole country has listened to them, and I think the entire country, except maybe for a few people, are now better disposed to a total integration of the Southeast into the matrix of the Nigerian nation.
Tunde Kolawole, quickly, we know that this would be a crux of a conversation, but we'd like to share your opinion on this one. It talks about the APC, the PDP, amongst other political parties, asking for adjustment of the 2023 election timetable. That's on the Daily Independent newspaper. What are your thoughts? What do you make of this?
Well, the politicians again are trying to modulate the political timetable because of their own inertia, because of their own tardiness. because of their own selfish objectives. Look at the ranking that we have continued to see in all the major political parties. Even these political parties realize that if you impinge on the INEC timetable, if they knew, why didn't they put their house in order and follow the timetable? This timetable was released in 2021. So there is no reason whatsoever for anybody to be clamoring that the timetable should be adjusted. Rather, we will insist that the different political parties should queue into the INEC timetable. And whatever conventions and nominations they want to do in selecting their flag bearer, it should be done in tandem with the timetable of INEC. We don't want anything that will disrupt that timetable and also create the impression that the government that is in power today will not want to leave from 2023.
So insecurity is a major issue. Was this thing with the Daily Independent, and it talks about 35 people killed in the Northeast in a decade, according to a report. You also have 2.5 million people displaced. Also, Métis Allah is also saying that insecurity in the South is not targeted at headers.
Yes, there is no doubt about it that there's been too much killing of innocent people's blood in this country, such that life no longer makes any meaning in Nigeria. And that's one of the reasons why this government has always been taken to task as regards its responsibility to provide security for the entire people of Nigeria as its primary responsibility. 35,000, I'm not even sure that only the Nigerian Civil War that we lost as much as 35,000 people in the northern and the southwest part of the country. It's majorly in the southeast that the war was confined into. But now, the insecurity is no longer localized. It is all over the country. We should, as a nation, find a way to stop all these non-state actors from disrupting our lives and from shedding the blood of innocent people. With what is happening in the Southeast, I have also always said this, that blaming everything on NAFOP, blaming everything on NIFOP is not the best way to go. Or saying that IPOP is the one targeting the Fulani Adam might not make too much sense. Sometimes you might have agent provocateurs. People just want to create wrong impression, do propaganda, do blackmail, will target certain persons, kill and name them, and try to blame them on some of these self-determination groups in the Southeast. You will recollect that not too long ago, in the Southwest here, certain people were arrested who were engaged in kidnapping, and they were found to address like the Fulani people to carry out their nefarious activities. Invariably, they were trying to deflect the attention that would have been focused on them if they addressed properly like Yoruba men. They want to shift the blame to the Fulani people. And I think
but contrary to the reports that we've been having, especially with this administration, that I mean the security situation of the country, we're on top of it, and that we have handled it. Do you think, as a country, because if we're talking a decade, we're looking at 10 years spanning, do you think that we have been we have been in control when it has to do with the fight against banditry, or we're on top of the situation in terms of security? 2.5 million people have been displaced.
Matthew, we have not been in control of anything. The government of the day, and even the one before, usually will tell you they're on top of it. just not to create a panic among the people, just to give the people hope. It's just a diplomatic way of handling the situation. They know they are not in control. We have been at this war for about 10 years. It started as a tiny thing in the northeast, and it has now engulfed the entire country. If they were on top of it, they would have slipped this in the bud a long time ago. But it is still not impossible to rein this nonsense across that are making life very difficult or impossible for our people if the political will is there. What I have seen is that on the part of the government, on the part of the head of security and the rank and file, the political will is not there. It would appear to me that not many people are convinced and are ready or patriotic enough to die for Nigeria, to do what is required to rein this insecurity, because Nigeria is seen as a no man's land, a nation that is not worth dying for. And so if you have people in the security, people in the executive arm of government that are not ready, are not patriotic enough to lay down their life for the nation,
all right,
then you hardly win any war. Yeah.
Thank you so much. We have to let you go at this point. We appreciate
Thanks
your
for
time.
having me.
Right. Thank you.
You have a great day.
We wish you the same. Thank you so much to Nicola Wale. He's a legal practitioner, has been part of the conversation on the papers this morning, looking at the front pages of the papers. But the question comes to mind, if we have leaders who pay attention to the news, whether or not it would be anything to go by. I mean, verifying and following some of these reports that we have every other time on our national dailies. But it will be a conversation for another time. That's the size of it on the paper review this morning. We will definitely let you know what happened today in history. And when we return, we'll head straight to our first major conversation right here on the show. Please stay with us.
tough decisions that the United States considers necessary that Nigeria must take. I like to think of my interactions as conversations, not interviews. And that's why I say asking questions is both an art and a science. Everyone says in Islam you are allowed to have 4 wives. Is it mandatory? The right question enables answers that educate, inform, clarify, and help you, the viewer, to better understand the issue before making up your mind.
Our goal is to reduce from 10 to 2 days the time it takes to register businesses in Nigeria.
Join me every week on this station, PlusTvAfrica, and gain exclusive access to my conversations. I'm Angela Ajetumobi.
How can we have peace without justice?
Plus Politics. It's not just another political conversation, it's about keeping you in the know. The relevant interviews, asking the tough questions to those that matter. Get the answers you need. Does it mean that the people who were injured, people who were shot at, those who were involved in that stampede are not going to get justice?
It is unfortunate, it is sad that we have a government of deaf and dumb.
Analysis from top experts.
The last election was not really an election.
We feel that Obasanjo has a very special place in his heart for hating Ijaw people.
I think it really boils down to 2 things. 1, trust and accountability.
Plus Politics, every weeknight at 7 p.m. on Plus TV Africa.
Welcome back. You're still watching The Breakfast on Plus TV Africa. Time now to talk election matters, the Electoral Act, and specifically Section 84, subsection 8. Now, lawmakers in the upper chamber of the National Assembly have begun the process to amend the newly passed Electoral Act 2022. Now, this comes as the bill for an act to amend the 2022 Electoral Act number 13 and other related matters 2022 was read for the second time on the floor of the Senate during Tuesday's plenary. The bill seeks to amend Section 84, subsection 8 of the Electoral Act to make provision for delegates who will not be elected as ad hoc delegates to participate in the conventions, congresses, or meetings of political parties in the country. Earlier in his lead presentation, Deputy Senate President Senator Ovi Omagege, who sponsored the bill, outlined some of its importance even as it relates to the lawmakers. He believes Section 84, subsection 8 of the Electoral Act is an error that should be corrected to allow statutory delegates to participate in major party activities, especially the primaries. We have Chief Lecturer of the Nigerian Institute of Journalism, Jide Johnson, joining us this time around. Good morning to you, JJ. Thanks for joining us on The Breakfast.
It's a pleasure to be with you, and good morning to Mercy. Good morning to viewers all over the world. Thank you, Justin.
Good morning, Jide Johnson.
All right, the Senate is making us believe that the Section 84, subsection 8 is an error, and that's why they need to amend that particular section or the subsection. What are your thoughts exactly?
The fundamental error is the attempt by the National Assembly to control internal party arrangement, attempt for them to legislate on how parties should conduct themselves was an error in itself, in its entirety, and that's why you have seen that they committed this grievous error in the process, shooting themselves in the foot. Because as we said it, when this was put in place, they can regulate the national elections, but on how party conduct themselves. These are explicitly stated in the political party's constitution. This matter should be left for parties to decide, and there are normal convention, norms and practices that governs party convention globally. Once you are elected as an elected representative at the state level, you participate in the state convention. At the local government level, you participate in the local government convention. At the national level, you participate in the national convention. But in the process of trying to manipulate and control the political process, because a lot of them have interest. For example, the Senate president has signified his intention to run for the presidency, and most of them in the National Assembly, either in Senate or House of Rep, has one political ambition or the other. So they've been overridden and been blinded by their ambition. So they want to control INEC supervision of the election, the general election, and they also want to control the party's supervision of the internal primaries. And in the process, they shot themselves in the foot. Because, like I said, it's a norm. Yes, you don't need any rocket science for you to tell you this, that the standard global practice in party primaries is senators elected on the platform of the party, House of Rep members elected on the platform of the party, speakers produced by the party from the various state House of Assembly, and state House of Assembly members are members of the national delegate to elect the presidential candidate of any party. So these are standard practice. And for them to discover, this is just one, because they are having interest. That's why they have only discovered one of the four in the bill that has been passed and signed by the president. For them to quickly amend a bill that they passed that was signed into law in 2022, and a bill that is even before before a federal court in a Ebonyi state with respect to resignation or non-resignation for public officials. So if you are in a hurry to pass a bill, you make mistakes. If you are in a hurry to do anything, you make mistakes, because they are in a hurry. They had 4 years to plan for this, and they didn't do anything. On the 2022, on the 2021, they started the process to regulate the elections of 2023, which starts in 2022. It shows the kind of devotion and attention the crop of people we have elected and we spend huge amount of money on. They have devoted to managing the affairs of this state. If you ask me, my conclusion, actually, amending the act is necessary, is important, because that's the normal procedure. But do the National Assembly has any role in how party conduct their affairs? No. In actual sense, without the parties, there won't be the National Assembly, because it is the parties that sponsor candidates for election, for them to be elected. And you can't be the National Assembly except you are sponsored by a political party. And once you win the election, you go into the National Assembly. And you now see a situation, somebody that is part of the process, that was generated by the process, wants to control the process that generated themselves. So that's why they discovered this fault. And that's why they are running helter-skelter. And within 1 day, they went from first reading to second reading to third reading to fourth reading to even going to pass the bill and send it into they will send it to the House of Rep the House of Rep will do rule to the answer, and then they will take it to the president for his assent.
Jide Johnson, so how then do we explain the fact that at the time the Senate had actually, in one voice, rejected, the request of the president to amend that part of the section? Because if you look at the argument surrounding it, you can't say you want to become, we're talking about partisan politics and a political appointee. So you want to become elected, you're vying for a political office. At the end of the day, you also want to still, remain a political appointee.
Yeah, I'll come to that one. I agree in totality with the National Assembly on the issue of not allowing the executive to pick their appointed aides to become the delegates. You give too much power to the governor, you give too much power. Don't forget, first and foremost, before you are elected into the National Assembly, you are elected as a delegate of the party. You are an automatic delegate. In that sense, those are people we call the super delegates in other climes. Because one, you've been chosen as the flag bearer of your party, and then you tested the waters with the public. In fact, you are a popular delegate because you have been elected by the people. Your own delegate is super to any other delegate appointed within your party structure. So I agree with them on that. I disagree with the president trying to bring his aid. For example, as a president, I can appoint 100 aides, and those aides automatically become delegates in the primaries. So I agree with them in totality with that. Disagree with the president's request for them. The area where I disagree with them is this area that you have to resign if you are appointed staff. You have to resign to seek election into office. I think they should extend it to themselves. For example, the National Assembly protected itself. So if you are seeking election as a House of Rep member and you are not changing office, you don't need to resign. But if you are a House of Rep member and you want to become a governor, you need to resign. Or you are a Senate president, you want to run, if you require a minister to resign to seek election into another office, then you as a senator or as a House of Rep member or as House of Assembly member seeking to become a governor or seeking to become a House of Rep member or seeking to become a senator or seeking to become president should resign. There shouldn't be two rules. You should resign. If you are seeking any office other than the office you are in, you should resign.
All right, Jide Johnson.
But you know what the National Assembly did? They protected themselves. They were insulated from that particular clause, which
But
gives them
Jide Johnson, we're trying to understand what has actually changed. I mean, we're trying to understand what has really changed, because with this particular section, it has gone through almost second or almost third, amendment process. We're trying to understand how come at the first instance, I mean, you had the Senate agreeing to, rejecting it from the first instance when the president had made it. So what changed? What's different now?
Now, the president's proposal was to make ministers special assistants and special advisors automatic delegates, which is what we have had since 2003, since 2001, till the Electoral Act of 2022, which makes the commissioners special advisors to be part of the state congresses, and at the national level, ministers, special advisors, special assistants. Now, those ones are appointed by the president, and there is no law that limits the number that the president can appoint. So the president can go to the convention with close to ambassadors too. So imagine the president appoints all the ambassadors. So let's say there are 200 countries where you have ambassadors. So the president has 200 delegates from the ambassadors. You have 40-something ministers plus special advisors, close to about 60. Let me say 60 or sometimes 70. So on his own, the president has 270 delegates in his control. Now let's add the special assistants and special advisors. So you are saying there's every likelihood for the president through his office to have appointed close to about 500 delegates, taking those delegates to convention, or the governors to have close to 200 delegates. That's why you have super governors. That's why the group that has power in Nigerian political landscape from 1999 until this electoral act of 2022 were the governors. They call the shots because they have non-elected delegates, either by the people doing national elections or state elections, or by the party during their primaries or during their convention. So that's what the National Assembly have done. And I support them in totality with that. You can't bring appointed aides of the governor or the president to be delegates in the election. That's not done.
All right, Jude Johnson, let's look at this cursorily and try to get a better perspective, of that particular. It's as though this Section 84 seems to be causing a whole lot of hullabaloo for not just the Senate or the House of Assembly, but generally politicians, because you have just said that it is just one that they have discovered. Then how do we know that they may not discover more lacunae in this particular scenario, and maybe they just look for every reason to just want to, amend? Because I was just reading tweets by the Senate president, and he was trying to explain all that has happened, why they had to. He was saying that it is an emergency effort to ensure that nobody is denied his or her rightful opportunity as a delegate, especially the statutory delegate, and these are those who are elected. I don't know if he was just trying to keep up with good faith, or maybe just trying to show that they know what they're doing, why there are seemingly several lacunae to be adjusted.
One, they have no business doing this in the first instance. Still go back to my opening remark. Because it is the party, it is every party has its own internal arrangement that governs how candidates are selected. But it was an overkill on the part of the National Assembly to legislate on how parties should conduct themselves. Each party has its own philosophy, has its own ideology, has its own principle on how things should be done. That's why it's called political parties. They have their ideology. So it's outside the purview of the National Assembly to make rules on how, for example, PDP will govern itself. There are some parties that have no members, or how APC will govern itself. ADC do not have representation in the National Assembly. New Nigerian People's Party do not have representation. Social Democratic Party do not have representation. So it is an overkill by the National Assembly. In actual sense, what they need to do is to expunge in totality that section, not to even amend it, is to expunge it and leave and put a clause there that each party will legislate on how candidates are chosen for elective offices in them. You know the crisis we had over consensus or non-consensus. When the president was requiring them, because the president initially refused to assent to it, it will have been the Electoral Act 2021 and not 2022. But the president refused to assent to it, saying that the consensus clause must be added to the primaries. Because what APC was looking out is for them to have a consensus. And that's why you will see in the nominations form that has been sold by APC, there is a letter of withdrawal that is required for all aspirants to sign. Now, people are making laws to suit themselves. That's just the problem we have. Now, they need to expunge that section or that subsection and insert a clause to say that political parties shall make provisions and guidelines as deemed fit for the conduct of primaries within the party. That should be what we have. It is not the responsibility of the National Assembly to make laws on how parties should govern or conduct themselves. The party themselves have their own constitution, and it is just because there are no lawyers within the party. Because if the parties, if you have the party, in fact, the legal advisors of the two parties and all the political parties, they are moribund.
All right.
They have no business calling themselves legal advisors.
All right.
What they should have done is to have approached the courts and challenge.
All right, Jude Johnson, let's just
the National Assembly with respect to whether the National Assembly has the right to legislate on how parties should conduct themselves, or whether it is the party, whether it's an internal arrangement or it's a national issue.
Let's get a legal perspective to all of this now. We have human rights lawyer joining us, Barrister Justice Ohuegbu. Good morning to you, Barrister Ohuegbu. Thanks for joining us on this particular discourse.
morning.
Yeah, Justice, we need to understand all the legal perspective to all of this. We have the Chief Lecturer of Nigeria Institute of Journalism reacting to this subsection 8 of the Section 84 of the Electoral Act, and he feels that the National Assembly has no right whatsoever to be indulging in the internal party or politicking, of political parties.
Well, the whole thing is just you see, every person has its own constitution that govern the conduct of the party campaign, how they want to conduct their nomination, and all that. But you see, that is part of the problem we are having in the when the people have that faithful leadership try to weld some of this in order to make it possible for them to continue to remain in power perpetually by omission. That is exactly what we have to do.
Barrister Ohebo will try and reconnect with you again. We seem to be having a challenge trying to get what it is you're saying. We'll try and connect to him in a second. But Mercy, Barrister Justice actually has put some perspective, although would hear him.
Interested in doing law as part of this.
Barrister Jide Johnson is interested in doing law. Okay, that'd be very nice.
Until you become certified, and we would call you.
Yeah, but I won't take the title of a barrister because I prefer the title of a collective.
So what would you take?
I prefer the title of a collective and not barrister.
Okay, all right. On a lighter note, but Justice Ohebo seems to think that these people are just doing it because they want to enjoy power in perpetuity because it actually affects. I know you had mentioned that, but do you really agree with his opinion?
I told you it's because they have interest. The Deputy Senate President is interested, allegedly, interested in becoming the governor of Delta State. The Senate President has obtained the form to become the presidential nomination form. And if you go left, right, and center, one of the senator representing Kaduna Central has been nominated by the governor of Kaduna State to be his successor. So you have senators left, right, and center interested in one office or the other, and other rep members interested in one office or the other. So what they are trying to do is to protect themselves. And in the process of being self-oriented, you become selfish, and you are blinded. You are blinded to the larger picture because you only see from a narrow perspective. What they have done in the process of trying to shut out the executive, both at the state level and the federal level, they succeeded in shooting themselves in the foot. And that's why they quickly saw this, and they saw the need for them to do the amendment.
All right, quickly. Jide Johnson. Sorry to just butt in. We understand we have Barrister Ohebo back. I hope we have a better connection here so we can get all the legal perspective. Thank you for staying with us, Barrister Ohebo. You were trying to explain all of that to us before we got disconnected.
Yes, what I'm trying to say is this. Unfortunately, the National Assembly members are just trying to come in by all means in order to continue being relevant in their various political parties, which is not supposed to be the business of the national interest at all. Because political parties are on their own. I don't see the reason why these sections should be imported or imputed into the Electoral Act. It has supposed to have nothing to do with the Electoral Act entirely. Party politics depends on their constitution. They have a constitution that governs them. So bringing such things to form part of our electoral act is a mess of our law. We should be careful and guided the way we do things because of political interest and political gain in this country. And that is why we cannot get it right. Ovia Omagege, we understand, was the person that brought that bill in the floor of the Senate. So the question you should ask yourself is this: why should he or members of the National Assembly in the first place consider such a bill to be made part of the law that will govern the whole country? It is very, very wrong. Party affairs should be handled by the party. As simple as that.
Okay, but quickly,
so
for the sake of clarity, can you quickly tell us what that part of the section? I mean, we know that there's been a lot of back and forth with Section 84, but exactly for the case that you have Omo Viagege putting out, what exactly does this section of the Constitution talks about?
No, it's not the Constitution. It's a section of the Electoral Act.
The Electoral Act, I beg your pardon.
Yes, that they are not trying to, or they have already succeeded by, in putting it or forcing it to Nigerians or political parties. What is this section talking about? It's saying that members of the National Assembly, both the Senate and the House of Reps, the President and his vice, governors and their deputies, House of Assembly members of various states, should be made statutory delegates of their parties. Statutory delegates, they call it statutory delegates. I know that but this thing is supposed to be a provision of political party and not an electoral act. Electoral act should not conduct or have anything to do with the conduct of political parties' affairs. What the Electoral Act can do is only to guide for the smooth running of elections. So it has nothing to do with party politics. So we should be very, very careful, and unfortunately they have succeeded because of their selfish interest and selfish ends.
All right, Justice Uhegbu, as we wrap up now, but very quickly in 30 seconds, so what should we be doing? Should Nigerians be calling for the expunging of this particular subsection right now?
You see, if not for the fact that the political parties are also complicit themselves, I expect that political parties should go to court to challenge that purported amendment.
All right, thank you so much. Indeed,
because it's not supposed to be part of the Electoral Act for any reason.
Understood. We have been speaking with G.D. Johnson, Chief Lecturer, Nigeria Institute of Journalism, who joined us via Zoom, and of course, human rights lawyer, Barrister Justice Uhegbu, to clarify the air on this particular subsection 8 of Section 84, which a whole lot of people believe is actually due to selfish interest. But then we'll see how all of that plays out, and we'll be here to give you all of the latest development. Thank you once again, gentlemen.
Thank you very much.
All right. We'll take a quick break right now. Still talking party politics, elections, and all of that. In a moment, we'll talk about the latest twist, 18 political parties asking for extension, because of the primaries and all of that. And INEC is actually saying NO. In a moment, stay with us. Businesses in Africa can be very challenging. In Nigeria, it is particularly intimidating. And successful builders have learned how to navigate a hostile environment to unlock opportunities. But one major challenge businesses face is how to filter through the noise and identify where their ideal customers exist. Get insight and practical steps from industry players and captains of industries. Hear success stories to help you make informed decisions as you scale your business in Nigeria. Watch Business Insights at this time on PlusTvAfrica.
Nigeria, by extension, Africa, is faced with a lot of challenges. The growing youth population with little engagement, that is a ticking time bomb. We are a blessed people with diverse culture and highly cerebral minds who have a lot to say. And yes, we are talking. It is important we drive the right conversation that informs, inspires, influences thoughts and action. If we say there's beauty in our diversity, then let us embrace our diverse culture. We must continue to courageously be the voice of transformation as we are the hope for the future. Yesterday's conversations shape today. What are you saying to shape your tomorrow? We know you have a lot to say, and we are here to hear you.
Hello and welcome to Space and Style, a property show designed to connect various stakeholders across the property value chain. We can also provide realistic solutions and deepen your knowledge about the interesting world of real estate. We shall showcase architectural design, interior design trends, lifestyle and real-time property news updates, and the right way to navigate through property development and investment. Join me every week on this channel as I take you through an exciting journey in the world of real estate.
Space and Style, 6:30 p.m. on Saturdays and 5:30 p.m. on Wednesdays.
It's still the breakfast in Plus TV Africa. We look at the second conversation, a request asking for an extension of party primaries by political parties. Now, the 18 registered political parties in Nigeria under the aegis of Inter-Party Advisory Council, IPAC, have appealed to the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, to extend deadline for conduct of primary elections. But INEC is insisting that June the 3rd is the target for parties to conduct primaries and pick candidates for their 2023 general elections, and that will not change. Now, reason for the request is that the Salah holiday, also the forthcoming Ekiti and Osun state governorship elections and screening of unprecedented large number of aspirants were issues that could hamper timely and strict compliance with the timetable. He maintained that the time allotted by INEC for the conduct of the primaries was too short, in the view of efforts required by political parties for screening and selection of quality flag bearers, noting that the request for slight modification in INEC's schedule of activities is not without precedent. Sani said some of the constraining developments were not considered and factored by INEC while he drew its schedule of activities. Earlier, INEC Chairman Professor Mahmoud Yakubu reminded the political parties of the necessity of strict compliance with timeline for party primaries. This morning, we have Festus Okoye, who's the National Commissioner, Information and Voter Education, INEC. Mr. Festus Okoye, it's good to have you join us this morning. We also have Opunabon Kataria, a public affairs analyst, joining the conversation. Gentlemen, it's good to have you join us on The Breakfast.
Good morning, Mercy, Justin, and Nigerians.
Yeah, thanks for joining us.
Good morning.
All right, so I'll start off with Festus Okoye. Can you hear us, please?
Yes, I can hear you, yes.
So you see, the reason why political parties are asking for an extension is that the time allotted them is very short, and INEC did not factor other issues while they were preparing the timetable. What are your thoughts?
Well, we factored all issues in preparing our timetable and schedule of activities. If you recall, the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria signed the Electoral Act 2022 into law on the 25th day of February 2022. And then this following day, on the 26th day of February 2022, the Commission released this timetable and schedule of activities for the conduct of the 2023 general election. Now, nobody appealed to us in relation to this timetable in February. Nobody said anything to us in relation to this, in relation to their inability to operationalize the timetable in March. We didn't hear anything relating to the timetable in April. And now, it was just yesterday that the political parties appealed to the Commission to adjust the timetable. But as the chairman pointed out, we had already, as a commission, printed the calendar of political party primaries in relation to these primaries. All the registered political parties have submitted the date for the conduct of their state assembly primaries, national assembly primaries, governorship primaries, and presidential primaries. And this is the timetable relating to all the political parties. Not only that, the commission also went ahead to also produce a guide that will guide the political parties in the conduct of their party primaries and in the nomination of candidates. Now, as far as the commission is concerned, as of today, the timetable for the conduct of party primaries is sacrosanct. This is because if you look at the entire gamut of what is going on today, the conduct of party primaries is only a minute fraction of what the commission is doing. As you are aware, on the 18th day of June this year, we are going to conduct the Ekiti governorship election. And the conduct of a governorship election is a huge enterprise, it's a huge venture. On the 16th day of July, we are going to conduct the Osun governorship election, which is also a huge burden and a huge issue. Then we have 18 outstanding by-elections to conduct. And you also know that we are conducting the continuous voters registration exercise as of today amidst some serious security challenges in some of the states of the Federation. So we have so much to do, and we have already trained our officers that are going to monitor these party primaries. So changing the goalpost at this point in time will not really be feasible. So, and we've made our position very clear to the political parties. But they said that they have a document they are going to submit to the commission. We are waiting for that document. When they submit the document, we will look at the document. But as of today, the timetable is sacrosanct, and we appeal to the political parties to proceed with their party primaries, irrespective of whatever decision the commission may likely take. But the possibility of changing the goalpost, the possibility of adjusting the timetable is really not there.
All right, thank you, Festus Okoye. Let us bring in Opunabo Inko Tara into the discussion. Opunabo, you have heard the position of the Independent National Electoral Commission, and from what they have told us, they have their hands full with elections in June, July, and of course 18 by-election according to the National Commission. But let's talk about IPAC right now, the Inter-Party Advisory Council. Is it a thing of they are not well prepared, or they are not, the parties have not put their houses in order? That's why they're looking at an extension, really?
They're not levied to hear political parties talk of extension. I just listened to the INEC Commissioner on Information, and my views are in sync with it. And I'm very happy, and I pray that there won't be any change. Nigerians are fastidious in nature and largely unlawful. You had enough time to prepare for your primary. Now, you have these people complaining, demonstrating simply because they're inquiring as to who their successor will be. Most of the politicians have schisms in their camps as to who's going to succeed them, and they need enough time to address this issue. Now, it's more or less egocentric. They have failed to consider the domino effect the extension of time is going to have. The toll is going to take on the INEC. We are talking of in terms of finances, in terms of manpower, in terms of security, and every other issue. These are all the issues that INEC has taken under advisement to insist that the timetable will stand and will remain sacrosanct. I will implore the INEC Commissioner and by extension the Chairman
So please ensure that there is no extension, not even by 1 hour, not even by 1 minute. He who has failed to plan has planned to fail. If they are not ready, then so be it. Any political party that is not on the ballot, so be it. I can assure the INEC commissioner that Nigerians are with them on this. You had enough time to plan. What are you waiting for? There is no excuse whatsoever. You can't talk of force majeure, you can't talk of circumstances because you had enough time to prepare for this primary. Why are you extending it? What is the right? There is no reasonableness in that agitation, in that clamor for an extension. So may I call on INEC as a body to ensure, thank God I'm excuse me, on this program with the INEC Commissioner of Information, I call on them to insist and ensure that the dates are sacrosanct. There should never be any change whatsoever, because no excuse will be tenable. And if INEC should do this, let me also give this as an advice as an ST. If INEC should go ahead to do this, then INEC will be accused of being compromised. That is the truth about it. You cannot be pushed over around like that. You're a body that is supposed to be independent, and Nigerians are with you on this. Please do not extend the timetable for primary. Do not even extend the time. If you recall, even when Jonathan extended the election date for the presidential election in the sky, and even when Buhari complained when INEC extended it, a lot of people wove all kinds of meanings into it. As far as they were concerned, INEC had been compromised. Why will you want to extend the time? I can't comprehend it. I can't start on it. You have enough time to prepare. No extension of this. Let it be sacrosanct and let us be done with this.
Let's also get back to Festus Okoye. What happens if the party does, you have the political parties not complying with the stipulated guideline and the regulation, meeting the timeline? What will be the implication?
Well, you see, this commission is a creation of the Constitution and also a creation of the law. Both the Constitution and the Electoral Act 2022 gives the commission the power to issue subsidiary legislation. And we have our regulations, we have our guidelines, and we have our mandates. Now, the implication is that the commission can only monitor party primaries conducted between the 4th day of April 2022 and the 3rd day of June 2022. The commission will only give access code to our nomination portal to political parties that conduct valid party primaries. So the implication is that if any political party conducts anything called primaries on the 4th day of June 2022, the implication is that that particular political party did not conduct primaries, and that particular political party will not have candidates in the election. So it's as simple as that. Secondly, even when we give you our access code to our political parties nomination portal for you to upload the list and personal particulars of your nominated candidates, if you do not upload at the stipulated time and date we have given in our timetable and schedule of activities, at that particular time at 6 p.m., the portal will shut down and nobody can have access to the portal anymore. The implication is that the political party that failed to access the portal at that point in time has no candidate in the election. It's as simple as that. These things are embedded within the confines and ambit of the Electoral Act 2022 as amended. And this present commission will enforce the provisions of the Constitution and also enforce the provisions of the Electoral Act 2022 because we are a regulator and we must be seen to be regulating the activities of political parties. Yes, we agree that there are new provisions in the Electoral Act 2022 and both the Commission and the political parties and all the critical stakeholders are operating the Electoral Act 2022 for the first time. And that accounts for the reason why if we even went out of our way to produce what we call Guide for the Conduct of 2023 Political Party Primaries and Nomination of Candidates for Election. And we have given this to the various political parties as a guide so that everybody will know what is expected at this point in time. And so we are going to collaborate with the political parties. We are going to work with the political parties to make sure that we realize the intendment of the timetable and also in the intendment of the law. So I believe that the political parties should adjust. As pioneers, all of us must be up and doing in making sure that we give Nigerians a very good election.
All right. Opunabo, let's talk to you right now. I just want to, see if there are lessons to be drawn or gotten from all of this. It is really shocking. Opunabo, can you hear me?
Yes, clearly.
Yes, okay, fine. Let's talk about consequences and, of course, lessons to be learned. From all indications, 18 political parties, under their advisory council came out to ask for an extension. What does this really tell of the nation's political space, and what are the lessons to be learned?
Well, it tells you how largely our leaders, how unlawful they are, and the disregard for the law. A lot of them believe that they can have their way in anything, especially the money bags in politics and those in positions of authority. They have a belief that they can have their way in any situation. And what are the consequences? Simple. They must have learned their lessons. If INEC should insist, remain resolute, then they will learn their lessons that you don't tackle certain issues. That when there is a law, you must go by the law. You must abide by it and ensure that you don't fall short of it. Because the truth is, most of our politicians, especially the governors, especially the senators, they believe that they have the clout financially, politically, to influence decisions. And most of them believe that they are above the law. So what they say is what will reign supreme. So if INEC should insist, then they would have learned their lessons. And next time, the next upcoming elections, either this year or next year, or even after the next year elections, when the timetables are out, of course, they will strive to ensure that they go by that timetable and not expect a change in the dates at their instance.
All right, that's as much as we can take, gentlemen. Many thanks, Barrister Festus Okoye, National Commissioner, Information and Voter Education of INEC, and of course, our regular political affairs analyst, Opunabo Inkotaya. Thanks for all the thoughts you have shared this morning.
Thank you. Good morning. Good morning.
Thank you.
All right, you have heard from INEC, you have heard from Nigerians and of course analysts, the consequences and of course the implication of all of that. I just feel that the political parties should have put their houses in order because of, all this politicking, sale of forms, and of course trying to adjust several sections. They have so many axes to grind that they have actually lost in some of the
If you look at the timetable, like, the commissioner had mentioned earlier on, you find out that they had taken into cognizance there's no way you have a timetable without the president signing the Electoral Act. And so whatever would have happened would have been the delay, the fact that you had all of that delay going on. So if these political parties were really interested, I mean, if you're complaining about the time allotted, then you should also understand that the president had taken so much time in, signing that particular act and making it, a law at the end of the day, signing the bill, making it an act at the end of the day. But it is what it is. Fingers crossed. We'll definitely monitor all of the developments coming through right here. And that's the size of our conversation on The Breakfast this morning. We'll return tomorrow with more interesting conversations, generating different reaction in different spaces. If you missed out on any part of it, it's all right to follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, and do subscribe to our YouTube channel. We're at PlusTvAfrica and PlusTvAfrica Lifestyle. I am Messi Bobo.
And I'm Justin Akademi. Many thanks for being a part of the show. We return again 7 a.m. tomorrow. Bye for now.
This medal has been directed to empower 1,000 persons with disabilities in each state in the next 12 months.
When I start hearing the shoot of gun,
every public policy has winners and losers, and some will not be very happy with you, while others, usually the silent majority, will be quite happy.
It is engagement we need to have.
those who suffer miscarriages are never taken into account.
Members of the National Assembly are also influence peddlers.
You are sitting on Nigerians' money.
From the barbing, I pay my rent. On the barbing, I send my children to school.
A consultative engagement.
No any tangible notification before they ban us.
It's one thing for people to be at your back and the heat of the moment, and another thing for them to still be with you when push comes to shove.
I will do everything to take Lagos out of the national grid.
This is it for upcoming artists to blow in Nigeria.
Welcome to Plus Trending. I am Bookie November, your host, saying thank you for joining us on today's episode.
Welcome back. It's tea time on Plus TV Africa.
Practice makes perfect. I'm not perfect yet, but I'm a lot better than I used to be.
He's a king. He's entitled to marry 100 if he wants to.
What we do not understand, we will stigmatize.
What you can see is the remaining of the tanker that exploded.
The suspect equally confessed.
A 500 naira they collect them. If you no talk, they go beat you. Now 2,500 they pay.
There is no voting on social media. To vote, you would require permanent voter's card. To get your PVC, visit cvr.inecnigeria.org. Create your account with a valid email address and start the registration process. An activation link will be sent to you. Click on the link and activate your account. Fill out the form, pick and submit a convenient date and time for your biometrics. Print the application slip, which should have your QR code. On the appointed date, go to the nearest INEC office for your biometric capturing. Thereafter, you will get a registration slip to pick your permanent voter's card when ready. Get your PVC today. This message is from PlusTvAfrica. Good morning, I am Messi Bopo. This is the news brief. The Senate has amended the Electoral Act 2022 to allow statutory delegates to participate and vote in political parties, convention, congresses and meetings. This followed the passage of the amendment bill on the act at the Committee of a Whole, which was sponsored by Deputy Senate President Ovio Omo-Agege. Presenting the bill, Omo-Agege said it sought to amend the provision of Section 84, subsection 8 of the Electoral Act, which, according to him, does not provide for participation of what is generally known as statutory delegate in the conventions, congress, or meetings of political parties.
This error, which led to us coming back to look at the correction, was something that happened inadvertently. I don't think it was the intendment of this Halo chamber, neither was it the intendment of those who perfected the document to send to Mr. President. But I believe in the course of a work like this, things like this are bound to happen. And I think this one is no less one of them. And that is why we are trying to do this amendment to ensure that what the political parties are known to do by allowing statutory delegates, in addition to the delegates that will be elected by the various political parties, constitute the electoral college for all the elections that we talk about.
To have the privilege of leading the debate on this very important bill, we seek to amend the Electoral Act 2022 to make provision for delegates who, not being elected ad hoc delegates, as prescribed in the constitution of a political party and the Electoral Act, to participate in the convention, congress, or meeting of the party. Mr. President, this bill was read for the first time on the floor of the Senate today, Tuesday, the 10th day of May 2022. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, the issue here is narrow and very straightforward. Mr. President, as couched, Section 84, subsection 8 of the Electoral Act 2022 does not provide for the participation of what is generally known as statutory delegates in the conventions, congresses, or meetings of political parties.
A bill for an act to amend the Electoral Act 2022 and for other matters connected thereto 2022 third reading taken. And the bill is passed. Thank you very much, distinguished colleagues. Let me explain a little bit what we have done. The Electoral Act of 2022, or the amended Electoral Act of 2022 that we passed this year, has a deficiency that was never intended, and that deficiency will deny all statutory delegates in all political parties from participation in congresses and conventions. And therefore, such an unintended clause has to be amended before the party primaries start in the next 8 days. So this is an emergency effort to ensure that nobody is denied his or rightful opportunity as a delegate.
Despite the provision of 2022 Electoral Act, 18 registered political parties under the auspices of the Inter-Party Advisory Council (IPAC) have called for the adjustment of timetable for the 2023 general elections. IPAC National Chairman Yabagi Yusuf Sani, who read the position of the parties at the second quarterly meeting with INEC, said after an exhaustive examination of timetable, it was discovered that the schedule of activities was based on certain circumstances and developments that have hampered timely and strict compliance by political parties to the timetable. It requested that the deadline for the conduct of party primaries be extended to the 4th of August as against the 4th of June timeline stipulated by the Commission, but INEC Chairman Professor Momoji Yakubu said there would be no review of the timetable for party primaries. The chairman of the Bayelsa chapter of the All Progressive Congress APC, Dr. Dennis Otio, has said that former President Goodluck Jonathan is at liberty to join the party, but is yet to do so. Otio, who spoke against the backdrop of moves to draft Jonathan into the 2023 presidential race, said that the APC in Bayelsa was not aware of Jonathan's membership. A support group had on Monday in Abuja purchased the APC presidential nomination, an expression of interest form for former president to contest the 2023 elections on the APC platform. There seemed to be hope for the unity of the All Progressive Congress APC in Bayelsa State, as warring leaders are said to have embraced call for peace and reconciliation. This revelation was made by the chieftain of the party, Chief Reuben Wilson, during a chat with media practitioners in Yenagoa. Our correspondent, Jesse C., completes this report.
Media practitioners in Yenagoa on a visit to the Reuben Initiative for Good Leadership and Accountability. The group has been interfacing with the warring leaders of the APC in Bayelsa State with the aim of reconciling them to build formidable structures ahead of the next general elections. The group's founder breaks the news to them that the Minister of State for Petroleum Resources, Chief Timipre Silva, and candidate of the APC in the 2019 governorship election, David Leon, have reconciled.
With the prayers, fasting, and everything, let me give you good news. The party is coming back together. The party APC, that party that people say will not bring out fruit, the party is back to line. That as I'm standing here today, I will proudly tell you that His Excellency Chief David Leon is communicating with his boss, Chief Timipre Silva, communicating with others. Honorable Pirio Seke and Chief David Leon are back together. Chief Chiwe, all of them are back together. The APC Advisory Council and David Leon, we met and all of them are back together.
He appreciates the media for being unbiased since the crisis started, describing journalists as people whom politicians cannot do without.
Anyone that wants to grow, you must make journalists your friend. If they are not your friend, then sorry. Even if you're doing a good job, what you will see in social media or papers is bad, 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 bad.
The leader of the delegation speaks more about the visit.
Read that personally himself, he wrote an initiative to use it to contest an election. We are here today to hear from the horse's mouth, and we found out that he's not contesting, and today is the last day of sending the form.
With this new feat, perhaps the party may have taken a step closer to winning elections in the state. Jesse say, Plus TV News, Yenago.
APC presidential aspirant Bola Tinubu has assured the people of Gombe State that he will curb hunger and ensure shared prosperity in the country if elected president of Nigeria in 2023. Tinubu said this in Gombe when he paid homage to the Emir of Gombe, Abubakar Shehu Abubakar III, with all the Progressive Congress members and party delegates in preparatory to the forthcoming party primary elections. He promised to work together with successful governors and all stakeholders to make things better for the country. Now, Lagos State Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu has submitted his expression of interest and nomination form for the second term in office. Sanwo-Olu was accompanied by prominent Lagosians, including Ayon Gorin of Ikorodu, Oba Kabiru Sotobi, and the Usola of Isola, Oba Kabiru Agbabieteka, among others. Promised to consolidate on the programs, projects, and policies that have made the state investors delight in the last 3 years. He assured Lagosians that his administration would continue to accord priority to sustaining the peace and development of the state. The former governor of Imo State, Ikide Ohakim, has officially declared his intention to contest for Imo North Senatorial District under the platform of the All Progressive Congress, APC. The former governor declared his intention while being presented the APC nomination form brought to him by Okigwe Unity Group, a group that believes in his capacity to bring quality representation to the people of Imo North Central Senatorial District. Ohakim, while accepting the expression of interest form, said he decided to accept to the call by the Okigwe Unity Group to bring his wealth of experience to benefit Imo State and the Southeast at large.
Okigwe zone cannot afford to trade off and submit to settling for half measures when the consequences of making wrong choices might sentence the zone to political oblivion. Critical and sensitive national issues will be on the table. Issues that must provide answers to yearnings of Igbo nation. Who will be speaking for us when strong voices are in demand? What caliber of voice will be needed to give national backup to our 3R government in Imo State?
President of Senate Ahmed Lawan said the 2019 agreement signed with the leadership of the Academic Staff Union of Universities ASU is unrealistic and not implementable. Lawan, during a meeting between the leadership of the National Association of Nigerian Students, NANS, and some principal officers of the Senate at the National Assembly Complex, Abuja, appealed to the striking members of the Academic Staff Union of Universities ASU to call off industrial action for sake of students.
No challenge is insurmountable, and I want to think positively that we are going to resolve this issue as soon as possible by the grace of God. But first, I don't like the 2009 agreement because it's not a practical, it's not a realistic agreement. Somebody just wanted ASU to go back to the classrooms and just sign everything there. ASU may not like to hear what I'm saying, but this is the truth. We must understand that there are things that when we promise we should do or we must do, and it's government fault to sign things that it knew was going to be difficult to implement. Also would accept realities, and that is, I think, going to be the starting point. And government must not be selfish, because we are not talking about us, we are talking about our citizens, our youth, our students, not us.
In his submission, the national president of NANS, Comrade Sunday Ashafon, stressed the need for urgent action by the federal government to end incessant ASU strike permanently.
There is need, because the ASU are saying they don't have the trust in the Ministry of Education that is dealing with them. We want to suggest, Father, as our father, and as number 12, the number 3 man in this country, the Senate President, we want you to help us to intervene in this matter. We understand that the President Muhammadu Buhari is busy. But we know, seeing you today, we have seen the President Muhammadu Buhari. And our message is so short and clear. Nigerian students who want to go back to class. We want our university to be open. We want this issue to be resolved. We want the ASU and federal government to go back to negotiation table. So as Nigerian students, we can continue with academics activities.
Students of the University of Ilorin, Unilorin in Kwara State have staged a peaceful protest to express their displeasure over the ongoing strike embarked upon by the Academic Staff Union of Universities ASU. The students who came out in their numbers threatened to take the protest to major places, including the Government House, if the issues between ASU and the federal government are not resolved within this week. The president of the school student union, Comrade Waliyu, said the protest was aimed at creating awareness among stakeholders and members of public over the lingering strike, and also appealed to the federal government to listen to ASU's demand in the interests of students. Now, the United States is advocating press freedom and access to factual and accurate information by independent media. Speaking at an event to mark the World Press Freedom Day, the Public Affairs Officer of the U.S. Consulate, Stephen Ibile, explained that the United States considered free press to be a foundation of democratic governance. Our correspondent, PlusTvAfrica, reports.
It's a gathering of media professionals and students. The U.S. Consulate, in collaboration with Media Career Development Network, put together this event to mark this year's World Press Freedom Day.
And you would think that would be the end of a political career. No, it was not. It was sent.
The discussion panel focuses more on the important role that free and responsible media plays in shaping and maintaining a democracy.
And immigrants who became more American than the native-born American. What I found very touching about, or very instructive about the documentary, is his understanding of what needs to be in a newspaper or a magazine. At the rich and the powerful, he also made sure that he paid a lot of attention to the everyday people. Beyond all of that, he understood that mass media is meant to be something that people can use. It was said that he was a man who could not be bribed or bullied. How many publishers can actually, or CEOs of media houses in our contemporary world can actually be that strong enough? If something is wrong, it's wrong. He was actually looking out for wrongdoing. If there was a wrongdoing somewhere, if there was corruption anywhere, he was happy to expose it.
We operate in a very harsh environment, and that is why I tell people, if you complain that Nigerian journalists are not doing much, you probably are not feeling the heat as much as they do. People who sacrifice their time, their family, and stake their life for others. When you crusade because you believe that you owe the society something. And what is the something you owe the society? Using your craft to better that society.
The practice of a job, that got into my subconscious. There are times when we get information. We have, let me give an example, you have the State House correspondent, and something happens, the State House correspondent calls to say, this has happened. You still cannot use until you get the official statement because you work for government. If you find something you think is looking like the truth, I have a few people who I know are very good fact checkers. No matter how truthful it looks, you should learn how to fact check. And then, like I said, take away emotions. We're too emotional.
In all, the access to honest information and the dissemination of same without prejudice no doubt remain the strength of a democratic setting. PlusTV News.
And to other parts of Africa, President Jose Neves of Cape Verde has urged leaders of Economic Community of West African State ECOWAS to fashion out a sustainable solution to the crisis in the region. Neves, who said this in Praia while declaring open a 4-day international conference of ECOWAS Community Court of Justice being hosted by countries, said it was apt it would provide the platform for discussion on the challenges confronting ECOWAS regional integration agenda with possible solution. He acknowledged the enormous importance of courts in protecting human rights within the community, stressing the need for creation of legal institutional framework. And outside Africa, Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky paid tribute to the country's first independent leader who died on Tuesday, May the 10th, at the age of 88, a former communist who helped sign the Soviet Union death warrant and then served as first president of independent Ukraine. The Ukrainian president confirmed his country's forces have successfully launched a counteroffensive that is pushing Russia's troops out of the region of Kharkiv. The counterattack could sign a signal new phase in a war, with Ukraine now going on the offensive after weeks in which Russia mounted massive assault without making a breakthrough. The U.S. House of Representatives approved more than $40 billion more aid for Ukraine on Tuesday, May the 10th, as Congress raced to keep military aid flowing and boost the government in Kyiv as it grapples with the Russian invasion. The House passed the Ukraine spending bill by 368 to 57 with every no vote coming from Republicans. The measure now heads to the Senate, which is expected to act quickly. President Joe Biden had asked Congress to approve an additional $33 billion in aid for Ukraine 2 weeks ago, but lawmakers decided to decrease the military and humanitarian funding.
What I think it's important for the American people to know is that what Putin has done is not only an act of brutality, it's an act of cowardice. Who but a coward would pretend he's going to war and bomb a maternity hospital? Who but a coward would have his soldiers resort to the cruelty of rape of children or their parents in front of them, boys and girls? Who but a coward would pile these children in trains and take them to Russia? All of this will be a matter of coming to justice at some point. But right now, we have to have it come to a conclusion that you don't do that. It's outside the circle of civilized human behavior. Putin, coward. So in any event, what we're doing here is very important, supplying weaponry and security assistance, government and economic assistance, humanitarian assistance, and I thank Congresswoman Lee and Mr. McGovern for their focus on all of that.
Ukraine's Kalush Ostrich are through to the final of the Eurovision Song Contest, cementing their position as favourite to win the competition. The folk rap band jumped to the feet, waving the Ukrainian flag as it was announced as they had qualified from the first semi-final in Turin. Earlier, they gave an energetic performance of their song, the Stefania. The audience at the Pala al Portio responded with a mixture of joy and emotions. Defending applause was accompanied by genuine tears. Support for the band was swindled since Russia's invasion of Ukraine in February. And in sports news, Manchester City have reached an agreement to sign Norway striker Erling Haaland from Borussia Dortmund. Haaland, 21, will join in July after City activated a €60 million, £51.2 million release clause in his contract. The deal ends the club's hunt for a successor to their all-time top scorer, Sergio Aguero, who joined the Barcelona on a free transfer last summer. Haaland, who passed his CT medical in Belgium on Monday, had scored 85 goals in 88 appearances for Borussia Dortmund since joining from the Red Bull in January 2022. The Liga giant Real Madrid and Barcelona also spoke to Haaland about the potential deal, but opted for a move through Etihad Stadium. And that's the news brief. For more stories, please follow us on Facebook, Twitter and Instagram, and do subscribe to our YouTube channel at Plus TV Africa and Plus TV Africa Lifestyle. Many thanks for watching. I am Messi Ibokbo.
There is no voting on social media. To vote, you would require a permanent voter's card. To get your PVC, visit cvr.inecnigeria.org. Create your account with a valid email address and start the registration process. An activation link will be sent to you. Click on the link and activate your account. Fill out the form, pick and submit a convenient date and time for your biometrics. Print the application slip, which should have your QR code. On the appointed date, go to the nearest INEC office for your biometric capturing. Thereafter, you will get a registration slip to pick your permanent voter's card when ready. Get your PVC today. This message is from Plus TV Africa.
Top political presidential contenders for 2023 general elections. First, we have Bola Ahmed Tinubu.
Focus on issues and be ready to serve Nigeria. It's all about service.
Bola Ahmed Tinubu is a Nigerian and a founding member of the All Progressives Congress. He served as the governor of Lagos State from 1999 to 2007 and earlier as senator for Lagos West in the Third Republic. Tinubu became an activist campaigning for the return of democracy as part of the National Democratic Coalition Movement, NADECO. He returned after Abacha's death in 1998 and the beginning of the transition to the Fourth Republic. His terms as the governor of Lagos State have been marked as attempts at modernizing the city. After his term, Tinubu has retained his status as one of Nigeria's most influential politicians, as his allies often filled high offices. On the 10th of January 2022, Tinubu announced his intention to run for the position of president in the 2023 general elections. Another candidate is Rotimi Amechi.
I will cause the amendment of the Constitution working with the National Assembly so that we can put the traditional rulers in the Constitution. You have a role to play in the insecurity.
Rotimi Amechi is a Nigerian and a current Minister of Transportation under President Muhammadu Buhari. He served as Speaker of the Rivers State House of Assembly from 1999 to 2007 before taking up the governorship role in Rivers State, thereafter ending his tenure in the year 2015. To kickstart his political career, Amechi was appointed as the Secretary of the National Republican Convention in Ikwere local government area of Rivers State between 1992 and 1994. He also served in different positions, including Special Assistant to the Deputy Governor of Rivers State, Peter Odili, and Rivers State's Secretary of the Democratic Party of Nigeria's Caretaker Committee during the transition program of General Sani Abacha. On the 9th of April 2022, Amechi declared an interest to contest in the presidential election. Another candidate is Nyesom Wike.
Give me this to do. Let me return power to PDP.
Ezenwo Nyesom Wike is a Nigerian politician and a lawyer who is the sixth and current governor of Rivers State. He is an Ikwere from Romeo Ebirokum in Abio-Akpo, Rivers State. He is a member of the People's Democratic Party. He attended Rivers State University of Science and Technology. Wike was elected as an executive chairman of Abio-Akpo local government area from 1999 to 2007. He was appointed Minister of State for Education on 14 July 2011 and was later appointed Acting Minister of Education after Mrs. Rukayato was sacked. He later resigned before finishing his term to campaign for governor of Rivers State. In 2014, he won the Rivers State People's Democratic Party primary, defeating Dakuku Peter side of the All Progressives Congress APC and Tony Princewill of the Labour Party in the April 11 gubernatorial elections to emerge as governor. In April 2022, he announced his intention to run for the People's Democratic Party nomination for President of Nigeria in the 2023 presidential election. Next on the list is Peter Obi.
The children will be in school. We will pursue the country. We'll move in the right direction.
Peter Obi is a Nigerian politician and he was the former governor of Anambra State, serving from 17th of March 2006 to 2nd of November 2006, from February 9, 2007 to 29th of May 2007 after his impeachment was overturned. Although a fresh election was held on 29 April 2007, he was reappointed governor on 14 June 2007 after a court ruling that he should be allowed to complete a 4-year term. He was the youngest chairman of the Fidelity Bank PLC and was appointed the chairman of the Security and Exchange Commission by President Goodluck Jonathan after the 2015 general election. He was the vice presidential candidate in the 2019 general election. In April 2022, he announced his intention to run for the president of Nigeria in 2023 presidential election under PDP. Another aspirant is Oluyemi Osinbajo.
Formally declaring my intention to run for the office of the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria.
Oluyemi Osinbajo is a Nigerian lawyer, professor and politician who is the 14th and current vice president of Nigeria since 2015. A member of the All Progressives Congress, he previously served as Attorney General of Lagos State from 1999 to 2007 and holds the title of Senior Advocate of Nigeria. In April 2022, he announced his intention to run for the APC nomination for President of Nigeria in the 2023 presidential election.
Nigeria's Niger Delta region, from where the black gold fuels Africa's largest economy, where the lines between wealth and poverty has never been thinner. Conflicts, poverty, insecurity, and environmental challenges daily confront the region. How can the Niger Delta story be changed for the better?
Join Mamude Akuga at 9 p.m. every Friday evening on PlusTvAfrica as he probes deep in search of solutions.
Inside the Niger Delta with Mamude Akuga, the authentic voice of Nigeria's oil-rich region.
Hello and welcome to Plus Sports on Plus TV Africa on Wednesday. Today, as always, middle of the week, you get me, your host, Mikhail Tinubu. I am joined today by Shenwa Jidagba, and we're going to be discussing a lot of tennis stories, and some of it is local, some of it is foreign. Shenwa.
Good morning, Mikhail. It's a pleasure joining you on Plus Sport on Plus TV Africa.
Welcome, welcome. I know you always say that this player, this particular athlete is no joke. So we're going to start with him. Novak Djokovic had a comfortable win to start his Italian Open challenge, beating Aslan Karatsev 6-3, 6-2. The world number one had little trouble in dealing with last year's Australian Open semi-finalist, bar an early break of serve in the third game of the match. He now meets the winner of the match between Stan Wawrinka and Laszlo Djere.
set. Djokovic conduce 5 giochi a 3. Djokovic conduce 3 giochi a 0, 3 games to love.
You know, with Federer's age and his and Nadal's recent injury record, the fact that Djokovic is still plying his trade, no seemingly slowed down, no sluggishness in his game, and the fact that he has been the world #1 for the longest period now, longer than anyone has ever been #1, is his career going to last much longer than Nadal and Federer?
Well, that remains to be seen. Mikael, no disrespect to Novak Djokovic. He's younger than those two that you just mentioned.
True.
But one thing is very instructive. He has one shot of the greatest of all time, whichever way you want to look at it. If you are looking at it in terms of Grand Slam titles, you have to give it to Rafael Nadal. But if you are giving it to someone who has, on and off the court, been a perfect gentleman, you want to say it's Roger Federer. But for Novak Djokovic, he has not done well on clay. From Stuttgart to Mutua Madrid Open, where he lost to the 19-year-old Carlos Alcaraz, who was a protege in the training camp of a certain Rafael Nadal. In actual fact, he beat his mentor to going on to win the final by beating Alexander Zverev. Now, going into the second Grand Slam of the year, definitely Novak Djokovic will be part of it after missing out of the Australian Open because of issue of not taking vaccine or no vaccine. But when you talk about the dirty surface, you can't take out a certain Novak Djokovic, but the man to lean towards will definitely the man who has conquered that surface with 13 Grand Slams and the greatest of all time when it comes to the French Open, Rafael Nadal. But watch out for some players also who can be a clog in the wheel